You're just a useless leech. You know that? While packing for my sister's wedding, my mother-in-law Emma spilled beer on me. With no earnings of your own, attending a wedding on someone else's dime? You're like a thief. She dumps all the household work on me, treating me like a housekeeper. I've endured it until now, but this treatment is just too much. Can't even manage household chores properly, yet you want to go to a wedding. How selfish of you. Smirking as he joins in is my husband, Oliver. My name is Ava, a 32-year-old housewife. I met Oliver through friends and agreed to marry him on the condition that I quit my job to focus on household duties and live with his parents. Initially resistant to living together, I reluctantly agreed, thinking it would reduce the burden of rent if I quit my job. But soon after moving in, I realized this was a mistake. Your soup is always too thick. Drinking this constantly would lead to high blood pressure. I'm sorry. I thought I had made it thinner, but my in-laws never seem satisfied with my cooking. They always complain about my dishes, yet Emma never cooks. If we get sick, it's your fault. I'm sorry, I'll be careful. Even as I apologize, Oliver, sitting next to me, pretends not to notice. He never stands up for me. Emma regularly invites her friends over for tea parties. Hurry up with the snacks! You're always so slow. Move it! Serving snacks and making coffee are always my responsibilities. And so is washing and tidying up the mountains of dishes after they leave. When I talk to Oliver about it, it's unnatural for a wife to help out when mom's having fun. He's unresponsive. Mom, why don't you get the trendy pastries from the station for tomorrow's tea party? That's a good idea. But the line there is always so long. Just have Ava do it. Right, Ava? Go line up early tomorrow and buy them. With that, he leaves for work. I'm not just a housekeeper. My frustration keeps growing. It's infuriating that both Emma and Oliver treat me like a slave. On top of that, living on Oliver's salary and his parents' pension is barely manageable, yet they insist on expensive snacks and coffee for these tea parties. While they are harsh to me at home, Emma and Oliver maintain a good public image, leaving me with no one to understand my plight. People say living with in-laws is tough, but your mother-in-law seems so kind. I don't know how to respond to such comments. What I really want to say is, I'm being harassed by my mother-in-law, but I'm too scared to make a fuss and stay silent. Your husband even greets us every morning. Oliver only takes out the trash to maintain a good impression with the neighbors. I'm the one who gathers all the trash and prepares the bags at the entrance. He just carries them to the trash collection area. He even helps with taking out the trash? What a cooperative husband you have! I'm envious. Should I be grateful that at least my husband takes out the trash, unlike some men who don't even do that? He never clears the table after eating, and leaves cups wherever he last used them. His habit of leaving clothes strewn about only adds to my endless chores. Despite being a housewife herself, Emma does no household work at all. Bring the coffee before being asked. You're always so slow. I'm swamped with chores from morning till night, and can hardly keep up with my in-laws' coffee demands. Emma, who never lifts a finger herself, is quick to tell me what to do, and always finds something I haven't done to criticize. Can't you do something about the water stains in the bathroom? You're supposed to clean it before it gets dirty. It's embarrassing how incompetent my daughter-in-law is at household tasks. Afraid of the consequences of talking back, I rarely do. Feeling obligated because I live here, I think it's my fault for not doing a good enough job at housework, and constantly get berated for being an inadequate wife. I tell myself I need to do better. Even when going shopping, I have to ask for money in advance, and then return with the change and receipts. Since the receipts are always checked, I can't even buy things I like for myself. I'm sorry, could I have some money to buy socks? I've been mending my socks, but now they're so worn out that there are holes in them. For your socks, $1 should be enough, right? When handed just $1, I felt like crying out of frustration. Back when I was single, I used to treat myself to clothes or drinks with friends. Now, I don't have any money to spend freely. My parents have passed away, and I have no other relatives to turn to, so I thought I had no choice but to endure. A few days later, I received a wedding invitation from my sister, Sophia. After our parents died, we relied on each other. I desperately wanted to attend her important wedding. I begged Oliver and Emma, who were having their evening drink. Please, let me go to my sister's wedding. A wedding? That'll cost money. Do you really have to go? Emma seemed very reluctant. You don't need to go, right? It's a waste of money. Oliver was not on my side either. In this house, there's no one on my side. Fine, go if you want. I don't want our family to be spoken ill of because of your absence. Emma reluctantly agreed. Really, you're such a useless money eater. Mom is really kind, isn't she? No matter what they said, I was glad to be allowed to go to the wedding. I immediately started packing my bag. While packing clothes, I felt someone behind me. Turning around, I saw Emma standing there. Then she suddenly threw her beer on me. What are you doing? Emma, without hiding her displeasure, said, Going to a wedding with someone else's money? You're like a thief. She was still angry about me going to the wedding. I do housework every day and never waste money. I had wanted to attend friends' weddings, but had always declined. Is it so wrong to want to attend my only sibling's wedding? I'm sick of even looking at you. Just leave and never come back. I was lost for words at such harshness. Can't even do housework properly, and you want to go to a wedding. How selfish! Oliver smirked, joining in with his parents. Understood, I replied weakly. The drink's gone bad. Let's start over. With that, they left the room. Tears dripped onto the bag I was packing. I didn't bother to wipe them away and focused on packing. Not just clothes, but also my parents' photo and other valuables went into the bag. Attending the wedding and seeing my sister's radiant face was overwhelming. Sophia, congratulations! As I spoke these words in the dressing room, my sister's expression changed instantly. Big sis, what happened to you? You've lost so much weight. Are you okay? My sister looked concerned. Your complexion is really poor. Are you eating properly? It's her big day, and I feel terrible for causing her worry. I try to force a smile, but my face contorts, and tears start to fall instead. Just sit down for a minute. There's still time. Please, tell me what's been going on. I told my sister everything that had happened. That's just terrible. I've been told never to come back. I wonder what I should do now. Should I return to that house and continue living as a housekeeper? I didn't want to go back, but felt like I had no choice. Listen to me, sis. Listen carefully, my sister said, looking into my eyes. Don't go back to that house. Just because they're family, it doesn't give them the right to take away your freedom. But I have nowhere else to go. I have to go back to that house. My sister took my hand. It's okay. I'm here for you. I'll always stand by you and protect you. After the wedding, my sister helped me find a new apartment, and I started a new life without returning to my in-laws. A week later, Oliver contacted me. I didn't want to answer, but he kept calling, so I reluctantly picked up. Where are you? Come back already, he shouted as soon as I answered. I was surprised for a moment, but I'm not the same person anymore. After talking a lot with my sister, I realized how abnormal my in-laws' house was. At first, I thought it was my fault for not being good at housework. You're not the one at fault, but my sister kept encouraging me. I was told never to come back, so I won't be returning. I could hear a click of the tongue over the phone. Stop being so insolent and come back to apologize to Mom. I was amazed at how much he took Emma's side. I don't want to come back. I can't take it anymore. You're living in our house without earning or even doing proper housework. Just come back now." He hung up after that, but even living separately, the ties to my in-laws' house remained. To discuss a divorce, I went to my in-laws' house with my sister and her husband. The first thing I noticed was a foul smell when we entered. It smelled like rotting garbage that hadn't been taken out for days. Laundry was scattered everywhere, and the sink was overflowing with dishes. Had the house gotten this bad in just a few weeks? I was shocked at how different it was from when I lived there. We moved things around to make space to sit. Then I spoke up. "I want a divorce." "What? Don't joke around," Oliver said, slamming his hand on the table. "It's true. You're complaining about having an incompetent wife living here, aren't you?" Both Oliver and Emma reacted angrily, unable to accept it. But I had made up my mind. I wouldn't run away anymore. Just come back and do your housework. It's your fault the house is dirty. They blamed me for the mess they made living there. "Please, calm down," my sister intervened. "Ava wants a divorce, and since she's been treated so harshly, we'll be requesting alimony in the divorce case." Oliver and his parents were taken aback by the mention of alimony. "What are you talking about? We haven't done anything wrong." They had no sense of guilt, despite their mistreatment. Once again, I decided that I would definitely cut ties with these people. "No, based on what Ava has told us, we believe an alimony claim in the divorce case is justified." Oliver, still in disbelief, shouted, "What? If you want alimony that badly, hire a lawyer or whatever. You probably don't have the money for it, but go ahead. We'll do whatever it takes for the case." I wasn't scared of his threatening words. Yes, that's exactly what we plan to do. I am Ava's representative, her lawyer. At my sister's words, Oliver and his parents were lost for words. My husband is also a lawyer, so the two of us will fight this with all our might. Be prepared, okay? What did you say? As for the legal fees, I couldn't possibly accept money for helping dear Ava, who has always been so kind to me. My sister was methodically explaining while cornering him. In preparation for the divorce case, we've reviewed Ava's diaries and emails. They will all be submitted as evidence. I heard about the incident with the beer being thrown at you. Is that true? That is... She spoke calmly as a lawyer, but it was clear my sister was quite angry. I understand Ava was also pushed by you. That was just me scolding her for not being able to mop properly. Emma was increasingly becoming flustered. Does scolding leave bruises? I was shocked to see the bruises when we met at the wedding. We immediately took her to the hospital for treatment. And of course, we have a medical report. Emma seemed at a loss for words. This evidence will also be submitted. My sister and her husband listened to my story attentively, gathering all the evidence. I can't thank them enough. How can you say that? Don't you feel any gratitude for living here for free? Emma started yelling in anger. Exactly! Do you know how much extra it costs just to have you here? Don't mess with me! Oliver's harsh words made me realize how wrong this marriage was. Shall we continue? We're recording this entire conversation, you know. At my sister's words, Oliver and my in-laws were speechless. They didn't expect to be recorded. After that, they became quiet, unable to complain knowing they were being recorded. Please be aware that any future calls or emails will also be used as evidence. If there is any stalking-like behavior, we will report it. My sister is an excellent lawyer. Without her, I couldn't have separated or divorced. You'll agree to the divorce, right? Mediation and legal fees can be quite expensive. Oliver and the in-laws were whispering, but eventually seemed to agree. Fine, I'll give you a divorce. I had them sign the divorce papers before they could change their minds. While talking with my sister after separating, I suddenly wondered, why hadn't Oliver ever been on my side? When I asked her about it, She thought for a moment and then asked, "You know how men can have such fragile egos? Can you think of anything?" I couldn't think of anything in particular. Had I inadvertently hurt Oliver's pride without realizing it? As I pondered this, my sister suggested, "Try remembering things from before you got married." That made me recall something from before the proposal. Now that you mention it, I remember getting scolded for bragging when I talked about college. It was during a date, when we saw posters for various university open campuses aimed at high school students. One of them was for my alma mater, which I mentioned, causing him to become noticeably upset. Maybe it's an inferiority complex about education. He gets upset if someone seems superior. Were there other instances? He seemed like someone with high pride. I hadn't thought much of it, but now that I did, several things came to mind. Actually, I earned a higher salary than him. But after we got married, he insisted I quit my job and become a housewife. Even when I said it's common for both spouses to work these days, he absolutely refused. Yeah, it's definitely better for both spouses to work. I had doubts, but eventually I got tired of arguing and quit my job. It was a job I loved and wanted to continue. He probably wanted to trap his wife, who had a higher education and income, at home. Watching you get harassed by your mother-in-law probably satisfied his ego. If that was the reason I was hurt, it's truly sad. I could feel all the love I had left for Oliver disappearing without a trace. You're ungrateful after we kindly let a poor person like you live here without earning anything. Emma's sarcasm didn't stop. Right. Without this house, you'd probably be homeless since you have no money. No need to worry. I have an inheritance left by my parents. Oliver and the in-laws opened their eyes wide in surprise. What? You hid that? I never hid it. I couldn't even say I was using the inheritance to buy groceries, fearing they'd accuse me of stealing money. So include that money in the division of property then. Pay the security deposit for the divorce case, and we'll take the rest. No, that's not how it works. Property and inheritance before marriage don't enter into the division of property. Huh? Oliver seemed to think he would get half of my inheritance after the divorce. That's why only the property acquired after marriage is subject to division. Even as a housewife, I get half, so don't be mistaken. So I have to pay for the division of property and the security deposit for the divorce? That's what I'm saying. At this, Oliver suddenly became panicked. Hey, why don't we just keep living here? You won't have to pay rent or anything. He started to hesitate about the divorce once he realized he'd have to pay. But I already had the divorce papers. Absolutely not. You never once took my side, just treating me like a housekeeper. I never want to see your face again. At my firm stance, Oliver had nothing more to say. The divorce went through smoothly, and Oliver had to pay the security deposit for the divorce case. Realizing he couldn't win against a skilled lawyer with all the evidence, he must have given up. After the divorce, Oliver apparently badmouthed me at his company. I was just deceived. Glad to be rid of such a wicked wife. He tried to justify himself. I didn't want to pay the security deposit for the divorce case, but I had to. Huh? That means you did something bad enough to pay for a security deposit, right? That is... He faltered when a colleague pointed it out. I just kept her in line as my wife was getting too cocky. Or, I scared her with Mom because she was annoying. That's what he seems to have said. His colleagues, hearing this, "Is Oliver's wife okay?" were worried. Once it was known why he had to pay the security deposit, his position at the company deteriorated. Oliver resigned from the company. With his pride, he probably couldn't stand the cold treatment from his colleagues. The in-laws, now without income, seemed to be living poorly. Oliver's salary wasn't high, and the money for groceries was always limited. I used to find cheap supermarkets and save with points to manage somehow. Without anyone to do housework, their house must be in a mess. Then Oliver contacted me. I can't make ends meet and have to sell the family home. It's not my responsibility. Can you help us out? After everything, he still doesn't understand why I wouldn't help. Eventually, the family home was put up for sale. Now Oliver and his parents live in a cheap apartment, blaming each other for their situation. To me, it's just desserts, but they can't seem to accept responsibility. As for me, I'm returning to the job I loved before marriage. My sister and her husband didn't want payment, but I insisted to mark the end of it all. A fancy dinner as thanks didn't seem enough to express my gratitude. Delicious, my sister said, happily eating, making me happy too. That's why I said so. I'll always protect my sister. My sister was always there for me, on my side. Since I'm family, I want to be able to help you whenever you're in trouble. I'm done with marriage. What are you saying? I'm sure there's someone out there who will be on your side. Can someone like me, who had given up on marriage and children, find happiness again? Before, I had no freedom and couldn't hope for the future. But now, I want to walk my own path and reclaim my life. Got any plans for what you want to do? Thinking about it, I said, first, I'll go buy some fancy socks. What's that about? Laughing, we enjoyed the moment together.